Well, it would seem Hollywood's arduous and lengthy, or some would say maybe nonsensical, situation with respect to protocols surrounding the corona, as well as the old mandate, are coming to an end. Now, why do I say some would say nonsensical? Well, because of course Woody Harrelson came out and blasted them and said, well, why do I, the star, not have to wear anything but all the help does? And obviously it exposed the blatant, rampant hypocrisy in Hollywood, the sort of elitism of Hollywood. But Hollywood has now announced that the protocols get an expiration date, and also the mandate will end. I'm guessing they're not too keen on it costing them even more money for those films, for those budgets to be increased, and then obviously because they've been pursuing an ideological slant with most of their films, not managing to get any money back in profits. So this was not what I was expecting, I'm not going to lie. I am really still surprised to read this. But I thought, hey, let's cover this, let's talk about this. So Hollywood's COVID protocols will expire on May 12th. And the vaccination mandate, which gave producers the right to require COVID vaccinations as a condition of employment, will end for all productions except those that were implemented prior to May 12th, which can continue to apply for the remainder of the production or the season. The return to work agreement has been set to expire on Saturday. Now, this was first enacted in September of 2020. God damn. Per an agreement between the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers and Hollywood's unions, SAG-AFTRA and DGA, IATSE, the Teamsters and others. So the protocols allow productions to rebound after an industry-wide lockdown early on in the pandemic. The protocols themselves originally had been set to expire on April 30th, 2021. They should have done, but they were extended nearly a dozen times, including in June of 2021, when producers were given the option to implement mandatory vaccination policies for casts and crews in Zone A on a production-by-production basis. Zone A is where masked actors, just to clarify, where unmasked actors work, is the most restrictive of the safe zones on sets. But remember, ladies and gents, it doesn't matter if you're acting. It won't get you. Ugh. Look, I know I'm going to cop some flack for this. I know that there are people which, I know that I'm well aware there are still people that refuse to open their eyes to the current state that we're in. I understand at the time when all this was happening, where people go, yeah, okay, maybe at the time, but now, we're 2023. I would like to hope and think that a substantial amount more people would be able to look at this in retrospect and say, yeah, this was wholly unnecessary. And absolutely, this is a chance for it to change, and it should change. Again, I know that I'll cop some flack for saying that, and I know people will unsubscribe. I think it's a shame, and you know what? I sincerely hope that you do eventually start to just take a glance around at the world and you become happier for it, because it must be a miserable existence, the one that you're living in. So the most recent extension of the protocols was in January, and a statement was issued today by the AMPTP. And they said the following: so the return to work agreement, set to expire on April 1st, 2023, will continue to remain in effect through May 11th, 2023. As of May 12th, 2023, the return to work agreement will terminate. So the date coincides with the US Department of Health and Human Services end to the federal COVID-19 public health emergency declaration on May 11th. So all employees shall have a total of 5 days of temporary COVID-19 paid sick leave per producer, which may be used during the period beginning April 2nd, 2023 and ending on December 31st, 2023 to cover one or more eligible COVID-19 events. Any production which has implemented a mandatory vaccination policy for employees in Zone A prior to May 12th, 2023 may continue to apply that mandatory vaccination policy for the remainder of the production or season in the case of a series. Because there are so many ideologues in Hollywood, I can just hear them screeching from the rooftops that this is happening. So unions signing off on the agreement to end the protocols include the DGA, SAG-AFTRA, IATSE, and the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, Teamsters Local 399, IBEW, Local 40, LIUNA, Local 724, a whole bunch of stuff basically. So the unions, which were taken by surprise by the AMTP jumping The Gun on the announcement said in a joint statement, "For the past 3 years, workers throughout the entertainment community have benefited from our robust protections, exceeding the practices of many other industries." You mean absolutely just overboard? Yeah. With the public health emergency now ending and the expiration of COVID-19 safety agreement, individual employers continue to be responsible for ensuring safe workplaces for their employees, but must seek separate agreement with the applicable joint unions before implementing any COVID-19 safety protocols. The transition, they noted, includes the following conditions. So this is what they're going to be doing. Grandfathering projects in production, so what we've already said, before May 11th, which had already established a mandatory vaccination policy. They can keep all of that stuff in place for all episodes, the whole production, whether it's a movie, etc. But they can't do it for subsequent seasons. Well, by that point, everyone's vaccinated anyway. Now, this is weird. Intimate photography. SAG-AFTRA and AMTP have reached an understanding on a testing system for performers involved in intimate scenes to ensure their safety and well-being. You can't breathe on people these days. Additional paid COVID-19 sick days. The unions have secured an additional 5 paid COVID-19 sick days for all employees through the end of the year. Cool. Look, the real take-home from this is that this nonsense is coming to an end. Again, I use these words and I know loads of people will get up in arms. Just, again, I've said my piece. I'm not explaining it to you guys again. But I'm glad that this is all coming to an end. I'm glad that common sense is prevailing. And I'm glad that, the sort of reeing and screeching from certain individuals is now no longer being listened to. I'm glad about this. But also, make no mistake that this is because Hollywood can't afford to do this any longer. They literally can't afford it. Because this added a budget on, additional 25% per budgets, generally speaking, of movies and TV shows. It was just ridiculous. And these budgets are already out of control. So you add that on top of it. Goodness me. And we're already seeing huge profits going to waste in Hollywood because they keep producing crap. So now they've had to cut this. Obviously, some of it is them seeing sense. But make no mistake, a large portion of it will be money focused because this is all about the money in Hollywood. But let me know what you think down below. Again, sorry if you were hurt by this. You can go get a tissue from your local toilet, where I presume you reside. Cheers, guys. Take care.